Practicing cuts is very essential. If you don't, then it's quite detrimental. Align your edge and choose your directions as you prepare to cut your opponent into 8 different sections. Hey friends, Lauren back with you again, and look, it's a different sword. One we haven't seen yet on the channel. I don't think so. Anyway, it's a sabre. This is a Hanwei version of, a late 19th century gymnasium saber, so from 1850s, 60s onward. And what we're going to be talking about today will be 8 cuts. There are essentially 8 cutting directions. You could probably break that down further if you really want to look at degrees and arcs, but generally there's 8 cutting directions. It's really that simple. Alfred Hutton in the late 19th century has a fighting manual, Cold Steel, and it's pretty good. And as a club, that was the first thing that we studied. We looked at that manual, we trained in it, and it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of detail to it, but 8 cuts are essential, and that's one of the drills in there, and so that's what we're going to do. Now, there is a cat here, so let's take a moment to chase away the cat. Thank you. And let's get to it. I'm going to show you the 8 cuts. So it's Alfred Hutton's system, but there are other systems that use 8 cuts as well. It's not just this one. At the end of the 19th century, we're getting towards the end of the fight manual era. Of course, people are now making fight manuals, consolidating and updating. That's something new. I'm talking about you, Tommy Joe Moore. Your book is awesome. Your Bartutsu book, but that's for another video. So 8 cuts. Saber, generally, around here, facing forward, right foot forward because I'm right-handed, and there are 8 cutting directions. So, we already know 4 of them. If you've seen any of my other videos, there are 4 directions that we already know about. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But we're going to add some more. So let's put it all together. So, in our cutting sequence, from our right shoulder down to our left foot is cut 1. Slight arc as you're coming back up from your left shoulder to your right foot is cut 2. Turn the sword over at your right foot, come upwards towards your left shoulder, cut 3. Bring the sword down to your left foot, not exactly at your left foot, but on that side, and then cut upwards towards your right shoulder. That's cut 4. Now we can add 5 through 8. Cut 5 in Hutton's system and some of the other saber systems is across the belly, and it is from right to left. You are parallel with the ground. You have a nice horizontal cut. That's 5. Turn the saber over, come back. That's 6. 7 is straight down on the head, and when you're practicing, cut all the way through, but I'm just going to stop there just so you can see. That's cut 7. Cut 8. Roll the sword to your, in this case, right, or to your strong side, and cut up. And you're aiming for the nethers, the bubbles. You're gonna come up and cut into the lower part of the body. So, putting it all together again, cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you can vary this because on a saber, you're going to have a long or true edge that's sharp, and then you're going to have a back edge, false edge. You're going to have it sharp probably till about there. So you could, theoretically, change this up. So as you do a cut 1, you wanted your cut 2 could be back edge. Cut 3, come down. Cut 4 could be a back edge. 5, 6. Now, these are things that you could try. They're not standard, and you should definitely do several sets with all of your front edge being the lead for your cuts. But why is it useful? Well, on your cut 8, if you didn't have enough time, if you want to be as quick as possible, you can just flip the sword upward, and you have your sharp back edge, your false edge of your sword and you can just cut upward with it. So there we go. Nasty little business, huh? All these different cutting directions, but yes. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're forming an asterisk. A little star. Those are our basic cutting directions. How does that apply to other swords? Well, we'll put the saber down. I'm going to use this hand-and-a-half sword because we're indoors. It was a little rainy and cloudy and cool earlier, and I am filming this early, so if I am now with my left foot forward in a kind of longsword stance, I am in a shoulder von Tag guard. I want to cut, I can cut down 1, up 2, we've seen that in infinite butterfly. Of course, we can do rising cuts, 3, 4. If we're coming across for cut 5, if we're looking at something medieval, we want to aim more for the neck, 5 and 6. We want upward cuts. If there's armor and padding, we may not, or there's a sword in the way, because we've got 2 hands, bigger swords, we might want to come up with our 5 and our 6, 7, straight down, 8. Now this I would do a little bit differently, because turning to the outside, the way I did with the saber, it's a little awkward. So I might come up. So I'm going to actually turn to the left instead. So I'm going to turn it to my left and cut up. Now I realize if you're left-handed you have to reverse all of this, but I think that if you're watching, whether you mirror or do opposite of what I do, will be able to suit based on your handedness while you're watching. So you can watch the video, follow along. You could use a stick, you could use a broom handle, whether you wanted to do something with 2 hands, something with 1 hand. And you can pretty much use any sword that you do have to do these cutting drills. And it's very important to remember we are doing a nice, clean, aligned cut. We're drawing a line with the X. We're not turning the blade too early. We want to keep our edge alignment. And we want to make our X. Now, one note about cutting, because if you studied it, you're probably saying, oh, but aren't your cuts 3 and 4 to the legs? Well, yes. So you can change up the exact targets. Just as we moved to the longsword and we changed our 5 and 6 to be head level rather than belly level, our cuts 3 and 4, when we're doing hut and saber, could be to the leg. So instead, we're cutting lower because we're looking for this leading leg. We've somehow got around the sword. Maybe we have been able to control that opposing blade, and we come to the leg because that's what's closest to us, rather than having to step in and then possibly get into having that sword right at us. We want to keep our distance a bit. So our cuts 3 and 4 can be to the leg in that system. So you can vary the actual target. So think of a target in front of you when you're doing this. Think of a troll. Think that you're attacking a troll, because the internet has trolls and we want to slay them. Yes, we do. Thankfully on this channel, not too many of them have come out because it's still a small channel, but as they do, we just block, delete, move on. We slay those trolls. So imagine that. I want to cut to the neck, collarbone, slice an ear off, my cut 1, my cut 2. Do I want my cut 3 to be up under the arm, into the torso? Do I want it to be towards the leg? I can vary that up on different passes as I'm doing that. My cuts 5 and 6, of course, to the belly, to the neck, to the shoulder. What do I think the target is that I'm going to be able to get through? And on 7, you can come straight down on the head, but you could also vary it a little bit to either side, especially if someone is wearing a helm, big padded cap, whatever the situation is. You can then move it over slightly. You're still coming straight down, you're still vertical, but you're cutting to either side of the head, hitting into the collarbone, maybe slicing off an ear, but coming straight down instead of on an angle. So there are variations that you can do with the edges, with the exact targeting. We can get into saying, oh, is there 7A, 7B, 7C? Is there a 3A, is there a 3B? But that all gets complicated. All I wanted to do was share with you the basic cutting directions and a basic cutting drill. so that you can use this for your own practice. Maybe your club is still socially distant, maybe you can't quite get back to training, maybe you are somewhere where there isn't a club, maybe it's time, money, whatever it is. You can grab that stick, broom handle, any type of sword, whether it be 19th century saber, all the way back to 13th, 14th century arming sword, and you can practice your drills. It's with you add the footwork, it is great cardio, as well as muscle building, and as well as a processing of your brain and body working together. So it's got a mental component as well as you're going through the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, because we always want to exhale, count the cut numbers. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. This gets you exhaling on the cuts. That's good practice. Okay, so you can always include saying what cut you're doing, because that's going to help you remember to exhale. It's going to help your control. You're not going to be so tense. You're going to have a smoother cut. Your edge is going to stay aligned. Camera, keep focused, please. And it's going to be a lot better for your training. So anyway, that is today's video. And do remember, like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment. You can also hit the notification bell, but comments mean that I know what you want to see. That lets me make videos based on what the audience is looking for. All these important stuff. Again, I want to say thank you. We're almost at 400. We're at 393 subscribers. So the channel is still growing. This is amazing. I appreciate all of the support. So do take care, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon for more sword swinging action.